Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'll call the SMUD Board meeting of Directors of October 15th, 2015 to order. Will you please join me in the pledge to the flag? This time we give, that concludes the active calendar for this evening. Statements from the public. At this time we give our customers an opportunity to speak on items not on the agenda on which the board will take no action, and items not on the agenda but within our jurisdiction. Please remember to direct your comments to the board. If you have written materials you wish to provide to the board, please hand them to a security officer to distribute. Also, since your matter has not been placed on the agenda, the board may not engage in an active discussion of the matter and is limited to briefly responding to statements, clarifying questions, and directing staff to follow up on the matter. This time I have 4 speakers. First up is Ms. Melissa Andrews. Be followed by Mr. Eric Windheim.
President Kerth, board, staff, my name is Melissa Andrews. Director Kerth, you deliver a disclaimer now at the conclusion of each meeting with the obvious intent of discrediting any information we have shared. While you haven't identified the charlatans and alarmists that you refer to, I can only assume that the charlatans are the authors of the so-called science that we are providing as evidence of the threat from smart meters. In other words, the scientific peer-reviewed studies that we share, and we are the alarmists. Let's define the terms. A charlatan is a person falsely claiming to have special knowledge or skill or fraud, and an alarmist is someone who is considered to be exaggerating a danger and so causing needless worry, panic. So let's look at the credentials of some of these charlatans. Because you've been familiarized with the Bioinitiative 2012, let's use some of that study's 29 contributing authors as examples. Dr. Carl Blackman, PhD in biophysics, research scientist in Environmental Carcinogenesis Division of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. He served on the World Health Organization Committee to evaluate the health implications of radiofrequency radiation exposure. Martin Blank, PhDs in physical chemistry from Columbia University and colloid science from University of Cambridge, and for the past 40 years has studied the effects of electromagnetic radiation on cells and reactions with DNA. David O. Carpenter, a professor of environmental health sciences at the University of Albany with an MD from Harvard. Dr. Anthony Miller, Canadian physician and epidemiologist, specializing in cancer etiology prevention and screening, research on ionizing radiation in cancer, electromagnetic fields in cancer, and other aspects of cancer causation. Paul Heroux, PhD, professor of toxicology and health effects of electromagnetism at McGill University in Montreal. And Professor Yuri Grigoriev, PhD, chairman of the Russian National Committee on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection in Moscow. In contrast, I believe the qualifications of board members include 6 bachelor's degrees and a master's, none of which relate to this type of science, medicine, or even research. So if you're looking for the charlatans relative to smart meters, maybe they could be represented by our illustrious board, posing as qualified experts, making unfounded statements about the safety of smart meters. And we will continue to be the designated alarmists to whom Director Kerth must be referring, causing needless worry and pain. Thank you.
Mr. Windheim.
Thank you, President Kerth. My name is Eric Windheim. I'm the Director of Sacramento Smart Meter Awareness. I heard Mrs. Ton speak last week about her plight that she can't afford to, quote, opt out of the smart meter. And I've met many people like this that just simply can't come up with enough money to make their life work as it is, much less pay a hefty extortion fee to be free of a biologically experimental microwave relay station that was placed on their house with great fraud and deceit by SMUD. Now, I do see on your website that you do have a med rate discount of 15% for something as small as an electrically powered wheelchair, and I do see that you have low-income assistance of up to 40% or $49 maximum payout for those in low income, and that includes $9.50 discount on the system infrastructure charge. But there's no option for people that just simply can't live with the biologically experimental smart meter on their house, or worse yet, on their bedroom wall. I want to read you something from Marisa Zafar, a member of the California Public Utility Commission, as she wrote to Brian Cherry, the Vice President of PG&E, back in January of 2012. The subject is about smart meters and the complaints that are coming in, the injuries, the headaches, the fatigues, the ringing in the ears, the brain fog, the inability to concentrate, the heart palpitations, and even the pacemakers. She says, I think that, and this is regard to an opt-out, I think if there is not an initial fee, your estimate of 2% goes right out the door, and you'll have more like 20 to 50% opt-out, and that would make our whole project that we spent over $7 billion on a complete total waste. It's too bad there wasn't any biological testing before these things were put on people's houses. I'd like to remind you that the Nuremberg Code, which I delivered to you earlier, says, point number 9, human subjects must be free to immediately quit the experiment at any point when they feel physical pain or mentally unable to go on. And this is a government-funded biological experiment because numerous peer-reviewed Public Records Act requests have come up empty. You don't have any proof of biological safety. None. And if a person wants to participate in an experiment, they have to be well-informed, and it has to be voluntary. We haven't had that, so I'm asking you to find a way to help people in the low-income bracket to find a way to get rid of the smart meter and get the analog meter without any cost. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Windheim. Ms. Ton? Yeah, you turned in a speaker slip? Ms. Ton?
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, I'm hard of hearing.
Please, it's your turn.
Yes, sir.
You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Dear Mr. Bill Slayton, we are appealing to you as our SMUD Board Director because the map for our North Highlands area is vague, showing highways and freeways without the street we live on. If you know who is the person for us to direct our concerns to, can you please tell us? Besides Jesus, as far as we know, you are the only person having the authority to schedule removal of the dangerous smart meter off our house. It is a fire hazard death trap. This house is from the 50s. Our income has never been enough to do repairs when something goes wrong. We turned off the PG&E service when gas leaks were smelled from the street. The water company allows water to the outside of the property, but not inside the structure, while commending my plumber to give us a payment plan to replace old bursting pipes. These kinds of options are more important to us than the $14 monthly extortion fees SMUD charges below poverty-stricken families such as ours. Recently, we decided to cancel our more than 30-year electric service, asking why should we pay for our own premature torture's demise. But that smart meter will still be attached to our home. Your removing it can help us live longer and become well again. We beg you to please return our safe and healthy analog electric meter. Our lives are in your hands. On our behalf, can you please pay the $14 per month opt-out extortion fee? God made you a powerful and influential man in our community. Like you, we used to be an asset to our fellow man. Now we are too ill to fight this biological experiment being forced on our families as the Nazis did to the Jews, viewing their fate before them. Going without electricity can be done. SMUD doesn't care about long-time paying customers anyway. That smart meter will still be on our home as a fire hazard until we are able to hire a competent electrician. Our teacher paid the extortion fee for 4 years and finally gave up. This smart meter may not allow me to live that long. Can you please help us? Can we make an appointment immediately after this meeting to bring back our safe analog meter? We love you very much while praising our Savior for the blessing that He made you. No matter what, we are thankful for who you are. Gratefully yours, Mrs. Ton, retired military veteran, a soldier still fighting for your family on this current battlefield. God bless you.
Thank you. Next up, Mr. Mark Graham.
Good evening, directors and staff. My name is Mark Graham, and I live in Elk Grove. Please make the transcript of the June 18th public hearing available on the SMUD website. President Kerth, it appears that you have lost your mind. It also appears that you are grossly unqualified for the job of board president. You do not prepare for the board of directors meetings. By that I mean you do not read the information that my colleagues and I give you or send you by email. Reading that information is part of your preparation. There is only one director, as far as I know, who reads that information, and that is Director Taylor. Your failure to prepare for the meetings is affecting your performance as a director. At the end of the meetings, you read your little diatribe from your prepared statement. The scientists, whom you are apparently referring to as alarmists, as charlatans, know far more about biological science, wireless radiation, and its effect on human health than you know, or you will ever know. They each have advanced degrees in biological sciences and have performed research and published that research in independent peer-reviewed journals. You haven't done any of that. You don't know what you are talking about. I have put in the board packet and emailed to you and handed to you on paper on July 16th the EMF Scientists International Appeal. Originally signed by 190 scientists on May 11th of this year from 39 countries, this appeal reflects the large body of independent scientific research on wireless radiation and health effects. Read it. I'm not going to explain it to you. Every single one of those 190 scientists knows far more about biological science, wireless radiation, and health than you will ever know. The same thing goes for the 40,000 doctors who are members of the California Medical Association. Read the resolution they approved on December 7, 2014 about wireless standard reevaluation. The authors of the 1,800 peer-reviewed scientific papers covered in the Bioinitiative 2012 report each know far more about biological science, wireless radiation, and health effects than you will ever know. You couldn't hold a candle to Martin Blank's knowledge about any of this. Many of those who defend the international smart meter agenda are buffoons. They are blowhards. They make false statements to mislead people. You, President Kerth, are either too lazy to read this information or too dumb to understand it. Which one is it? Either way, too lazy or too dumb, it is time for you to go. You are doing a terrible job as board president. A monkey could do a better job. It is time for you to resign, effective immediately. The district and its customers deserve a far better president and better service. In the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.
Thank you, Mr. Graham.
I just had one quick
Slayton,
comment, if
go
I
ahead.
could. My sense of this is that while you continue to come and make the arguments that you make, and you have a right to do that, that this is not the right venue. The right venue is three choices that you have, given your arguments. One is the Federal Communication Commission that allows this equipment to be installed. The second is the California legislature, if you feel you want to change the law and force us to do something differently than what we're doing today. Or the third alternative is the courts. So you have all three of those venues where you could seek redress, but my sense is continuing to come here to make this essentially the same arguments to us, I don't think you're making progress in accomplishing your objective. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Okay, I would like to take a moment to remind everyone that the worries about smart meters are both unfounded and completely unnecessary. The so-called science used by some to incite these concerns cannot stand up to even a mild examination and remains completely discredited. Again, any efforts, any expenses, or any investments made to avoid smart meters are entirely wasted and only serve to enrich those seeking profits from this misinformation. We live in a time of change, and change can be unnerving, especially when it comes quickly. Continue to offer some friendly advice, especially to Ms. Ton. Giving into the hysteria, being seduced by alarmists, or succumbing to the wiles of the predatory charlatans will not improve your lives. Thank you. If there's nothing further to come before the board, we are adjourned.